Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, we begin first with a satellite animation here early in the morning on Tuesday morning. And what you're watching is the development of this tropical disturbance down here, and this is our GOES 16 imagery, so we're watching right down here. You can see some of those really dark reds and almost black and gray colors there. That indicates very cold cloud tops and very tall thunderstorms that are kind of erupting in that region right now. And the big questions we have to be answering is what is going to happen to this as it transitions towards the Texas coastline up towards Louisiana, and how does this get ingested into the overall flow of the atmosphere to potentially bring a lot of rain to the southeastern part of the U.S. We also want to answer the question, how far to the west does this initially push, to see if we get some rain back into parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Some of those regions they're just absolutely flooded out right now. So we'll get to that in just a few seconds, but I want to give you the latest from the National Hurricane Center. This is their most current 5-day graphical outlook. So this is slowly progressing toward the north, and right now they've given it a 50% chance. So that is the probability that this becomes named Barry. They downgraded a little bit from 60 to 50%, but this is not something that is saying, oh, well, there's no longer going to be a major event. No, the moisture plume that is in those thunderstorms there is still certainly advecting or moving to the north, and is going to get absorbed into the mid-latitude flow. And our questions here, again, is going to be to see the timing, the structure, and the amount of rain that is coming through in this as it gets kind of absorbed into that mid-level flow. We certainly know we need the rainfall. This map is looking over the last 14 days, and there are some places down here in the southeast that have actually gone much longer than 14 days without rainfall. Widely scattered hit-or-miss showers and storms. They've been much more severe as you kind of get up here into parts of Virginia and North Carolina. But outside of that, squeeze back into parts of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and we've got some places there that are very dry. Meanwhile, just to the west of there, this particular region has been hammered. We've seen some pretty incredible flooding in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, and Missouri, and even parts of Arkansas as well, where the Arkansas River in parts in that region is actually, breaking all-time records in terms of its how deep it is and how high it is above flood stage. Meanwhile, back in New Mexico, we've had a lot of beautiful, they're incredible to look at. The Southern Plains has some of the most spectacular storm structure in the world, but each time one of those storms come through, they can really put down quite a bit of rain, including some hail. So we just kind of take a look here. We can see who needs the rain and who does not need the rain. Another way to look at it is I like to show you these maps. This is the soil moisture anomaly map. We have seen, because of that flow pattern, which for the longest time was stuck like this, we do still have this corridor in here where our soil moisture anomalies have continued to decrease here. And now we have some locations that are down there in the 0 to 10% saturated in the first 3 feet of the soil. So this is a desperately needed rain for the southeast. And so let's talk about the details of how it's coming through. I'm going to show you two maps. The one on the left is from the GFS. That is the U.S. model. This one over here, and the one on the right is from the European model. And we're only going to go out when this at about 7 days. So I got you all the way to next Tuesday morning. You can see there's a bit of a difference in the orientation of the shape of the precipitation. What do you notice? If I kind of outline it here, you see that orientation from the GFS, and then you see this orientation from the European model. And one of the reasons for that is because there's going to be two other features helping control this. There's going to be a ridge that slides through, and there's going to be a trough sitting through the northwest part of the United States. And the European model doesn't really allow for the tropical disturbance here to get sucked into into this trough. And therefore, it doesn't get pulled north and it gets pushed there. The GFS has got a little bit different scenario, and it lets this trough that is sitting here in the Pacific Northwest grab hold of what could be Barry and pull it back further to the north before it sends it over toward the east. And that changes a lot for the southern region. Now, you know my preference and why I have a preference for the European model. It's purely based on performance statistics. And I've seen over the last several months that with time, as we approach the actual date of the event, that the GFS model tends to correct itself back toward what the European says. So there's a reason why I use the European model so much, and it's given to you right there, okay? Either way, the southeastern United States looks to have widespread 2 to 3 inches of rain. And I want to show you how that rain is coming in. First, let's just take a quick look at temperatures. We do see that after the extreme heat we saw at the end of May, that over the next 5 days, well, as this particular system comes in and sets up in here, we're going to be seeing, near average and at times cooler than average temperatures. So we're getting away from that extreme heat. Days 6 through 10, we see a similar pattern. So as this feature kind of sits in here, we're going to be looking for temperatures under the cloud cover and rain to be cooler than average. I think everybody would expect that. As we move into the 11 to 15 day time period, it's going to be a very interesting play in the jet stream in that we may end up featuring something that gets a little bit more like this with time. And as a result, we do see cooler temperatures in the central United States. Could be some warmth down here, a little bit warmer than average along the East Coast and Southeast Coast, but we're not seeing the extremes that we saw, back in May. Now, what are the main players? Well, by the time we get out to this weekend, which will be when we really get into the wetter time period, so this is just 5 days from now, we're going to be seeing the tropical system here kind of merge with this trough. So I told you we have one trough here. There it is. And we have this feature that snuck in from California, which is there, that met up with the tropical feature out of the Bay of Campeche. Right now, the European model wants to just shove this east. Okay, and that's the best solution I think we have right now. But by day 10, look at what we end up getting. We end up getting a flow pattern that looks just like this. And that particular flow pattern is one that is much different than we saw in May, where we had the deeper trough out here and the big ridge over the southeast. So this is why we see the return to normal temperatures and the much weather pattern evolving. We do lose a lot of our major signals once we get out to the middle of the month. And there's some model competition here about what's going to be happening. But you can kind of see how right through the midsection of the country, a lot of these lines are nice and straight. Well, I think we're returning to a much more flatter pattern, a pattern where we have a lot more subtle features to be paying attention to, which is going to reduce predictability beyond just a few days here. But speaking about a few days, what I flipped over to next is the Storm Prediction Center's maps. These maps, again, are valid on Tuesday in the upper left-hand corner. We have Wednesday in the upper right-hand corner, and finally down here in the bottom, I've got Thursday. So we do see a general risk of thunderstorms across much of the southern region, with more severe weather tucked away back in western Texas and parts of New Mexico in the day on Tuesday. We will see how these storms progress with time throughout this week, although we're not expecting any major outbreaks across the southern region in the next few days here. Switching over to our high-resolution model here, this is the HRRR. I want you just to watch. We're going to start this up at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. We're just going to watch how the storms kind of pop up here as we get the moisture. There it is, the moisture coming out of that tropical system, which could get upgraded to Barry with time here. So if we just step back through this, watch it again, you're going to see early in the morning a lot of thunderstorm suppression, but then they start to pop mid-afternoon under some of the heating over the southeast, so you can see it there. Certainly Florida is going to enjoy getting some of the thunderstorms that you see right in through there. Maybe some showers and storms for South Carolina, but stretching back across parts of Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi, it's going to be a lot of hit or miss. Meanwhile, back in western Texas and Oklahoma and New Mexico, you can see the storms popping right there. There they go. And that's why we've got that region under the gun for severe weather. But here you are. We can see the beginning of what will be this tropical pulse that's coming through. So let's now switch over to our high-resolution NAM model to see how and when it gets here. So beginning first, this is starting early in the morning on Tuesday. We'll just play this out and step it back here. What we see is that by the time we get into the day on Wednesday, the widespread scattered showers and storms are moving through Texas, such that by Wednesday afternoon and evening, they're now spread pretty widely across this whole area. Now, I said earlier we had to talk about the structure. This is going to be coming in waves. Remember, this isn't just going to be a constant blanket of rain. It's going to come through in waves. So throughout the day on Thursday, we see widely scattered showers and storms in and around Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. And you're also going to see a boundary from a front that kind of sneaks right in through this corridor, bringing some showers and storms over toward parts of the Carolinas and Virginia. As we progress forward, what we're going to notice is this thing tightens up. See its circulation there as it moves through parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. Southern half of Illinois gets it. On the backside, still widely scattered showers hanging around in Arkansas. And I just took you from Thursday through Saturday morning right in through here. At that time, like I said, the European model wants to keep the wave that's up here kind of out of the way of the tropical disturbance we're going to pay attention to, which is going to allow this to just sit and spin and move over toward the east here. So I've got you into Sunday, and this is Monday and Tuesday. And it's not until we get into Tuesday that higher atmospheric pressure builds in behind this as the deeper trough moves into this area. This is a region of upper level convergence in the atmosphere, hence we get subsidence, which means air is kind of sinking aloft and it builds the pressure. That's why you get a high pressure center sitting right in through there. But really what you saw here is about a 6-day rainfall event beginning really tomorrow and then ending next Tuesday for the East Coast. And that is the influence of this tropical system. Now, had this not been there, had this tropical pulse coming out of the Bay of Campeche not been there, this would have been a very dry time period for us across the southern region. But it's coming through and hopefully saving the day here for the southeast. So putting it all together, I want to switch models here and show you the national blended model. So this not only includes the ECMWF, but it's also got the GFS and other models in it. We just kind of try to paint a picture as to where we're going to be at least getting, 1.5 to 2 inches. So this color right in through here is 2 inches. We see a pretty broad sector in here right now forecast to get it. Some of the trickiest parts of this forecast is how far north does this come, but that's getting us outside of the southern region. Good news is heavier rainfall amounts are east instead of west, and I don't want to see more rainfall inside of that circle. I want to see all the rainfall over here where we most certainly need it. So that's what we're looking at. A little bit of a hint as to what I'll be talking about in the longer term. This is what we're looking at for the end of June. And the models have been really advertising this pattern that wants to split out west, but feature a ridge that kind of runs from Texas right up into Montana. And the bigger questions I'm going to be trying to answer is, do we see a return of a southeastern ridge? There's some model competition here from the European model versus the CFS. We'll talk about it all on Wednesday midday. So until then, I hope you have a great week. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to all of our weather forecasts that come out daily at my.nutrienagsolutions.com. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.